Having a conversation here with Spring Grove Lion football coach Kody Moore. The Lions fell to Mabel Canton last Friday night, 20-12. And what were your takeaways from the game last Friday, Coach?
Well, number one, I want to congratulate Mabel. Paul had those guys ready to go. They did a good job of not beating themselves in that game. And, on the flip side for us, I really feel like we did beat ourselves, especially offensively. Extremely sloppy performance, too many turnovers. We had issues with the quarterback center exchange quite a bit. A lot of that, it falls squarely on my shoulders as a head coach. I don't think I had our guys ready to play. And, it was a disappointing performance. What I hope is that it's a kind of a wake up call for us. Hopefully a turning point where we can get back to focusing on the basics of fundamental type things that win football games and, do a better job here in a few weeks when we get to host Kingsland for homecoming.
In particular, with the center quarterback exchange on Friday night, what needs to be cleaned up? How do you need to smooth out those rough edges?
Well, the big thing I need to say is that we're having, Tyson Moan is filling a spot that he's not used to playing. So not making excuses for anybody. That's not our style, anything like that. But he's a young man who hasn't had to do that before. And, week one against Alden Conger there, he did a really nice job. In this last week, we just kind of took a step back, and it wasn't necessarily always, specifically his fault on those snaps. Sometimes it was right around where it should be. And, Bryce has got to make sure we're working to catch some of those snaps that aren't always just pinpoint perfect. So I think it's just reps, Darren. It's a lot of reps. And, we have a bye week this week to refocus on that type of stuff, that basic type of stuff. And I know those two will get it figured out. I know the kind of kids they are. I know the kind of kids we have. They know how to respond to adversity. Look at all the injuries we've dealt with this year. And we've done a real nice job overall of responding to that adversity. And this is just one of those adverse times. We got to pick ourselves up and move forward and get better here the next 2 weeks heading into playoffs.
One thing about Friday night's game, you still played some pretty good defense. You held a pretty good Mabel Canton team to less than 200 yards of total offense. And two of their scoring drives were about 30 yards thanks to those mistakes. Were you happy with the way you played defense Friday night?
Yeah, it's been the story of our year. Defense has carried us. They played well enough for us to win that game. So when I talk about the negative aspects of things, that's offensively, because our defense definitely played well enough. Jacob Olerud had 23 tackles. We had him 4. So obviously he had a big night. On that side of the ball, I think we still did a good job of playing physical. That's a different style offense that you're not necessarily used to seeing week to week. They execute well. And I thought our guys, for the most part, did a good job. You touched on field position. I thought that was huge. I think their scoring drives, 2 of them were around 30 yards. And the other one was a little longer, more like a normal drive where you had to earn it. But so we got to fix that field position issue. And if we do that, our defense is good enough to make it really hard on teams. There's no doubt about that. You could see that Friday night.
And you touched on the fact that you do have a bye week after playing week 0. No game this coming Friday night for you. How do you manage that from a coaching perspective this week? What's going to be on the docket? What are you going to be focusing on?
Well, the state high school league sets mandates on how often you can meet during a bye week. So we can actually only meet 3 of the days. So really what we talked about, we had film yesterday, and then we get a couple more days of practice this week. We talked about focusing on ourselves. We're not going to worry right now at this time about Kingsland and what they do. We need to get back to resetting and focusing on those little fundamental things that are going to win football games. So really, Darren, our focus is on ourselves and what we need to do, especially offensively, to execute better.
And did this bye week come at a good time? Because not that you're overly banged up. Obviously, you got the kids that are out for the season, but everyone's got those nicks and those bruises and everything like that this time of year. Where this bye week fell, can it be a positive for you?
Yeah, when I looked at our schedule, even preseason when that came out, I really like the fact to have a week 6 bye, because it just gives your guys a little bit of a reset, a little bit of extra chance to heal up, just like you're talking about, Darren, those small, nicks and bruises and that type of stuff to help freshen up here for the home stretch. So timing wise, we couldn't ask for anything better. Now, would I like to be going into this bye week off of a win rather than a loss? It'd be much more enjoyable, that's for sure. But at the same time, it's a good time to reset, freshen up, and get ready for the home stretch here where it really matters. Things start to really count, and it's a fun time of year. And I know our guys are excited for the challenge of bouncing back from a rough Friday night.
All right, Coach. Hopefully you can do indeed that. Enjoy the bye week, get healed up a little bit, focus on those little things that are the difference between winning and losing. And we'll chat with you next week as you get ready to face a pretty good Kingsland team.
Thanks a lot, Darren. As always, we appreciate your coverage.
Kody Moore, head coach of the Spring Grove Lions.